if you don't want to call the WWF a sport, you're talking about the most brutal form of performance, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, sport, there is. You can quit whenever you want to quit. I'll quit when I feel it's right.
Are you guys ready to party?
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
Angle looks focused and ready to go, baby. He better be. Oh, he is.
That ominous warning, he better be ready, so valid in the ring and on Off the Record as well. You know that, don't you?
Oh, it's true.
Kurt Angle, I'm glad to see the genuine smile of Kurt Angle back on Off the Record. It was almost 3 years to the day that you did the show last time.
You know what? I've always wondered why you waited so long to have me.
Because to tell you the truth, you weren't that good the first time. Let's see if you can turn it up a notch. All right. You know, Kurt, when we promote that we have wrestlers on the show, emails flood in, and you can tell right away that the audience, what they want to know. With Benoit, it was about his climb to the top and the way he did it to grab the belt. With the Hulk, it was his inconsistencies in his book. And with you, it's clearly the same question over and over again, which I asked you as soon as you kind of limped in here. How's your health?
You know what? I wish I could say great. You know, this past year has been real difficult for me. The knee surgeries, the neck surgeries. It's just like all of a sudden, 4 years of WWE wrestling, not one injury, doing great, and then I kind of hit a wall. And I'd have to say the neck injuries have been the most severe. I had 2 neck surgeries last year. It looks like I'm going to have another neck surgery in the next month. So I'm hoping to be back around August, around SummerSlam, and that's my goal right now. I'm the general manager of SmackDown, which is a great spot on TV. I enjoy doing it. At least I have a character that I can kind of enhance while I'm not wrestling, but my love is wrestling, and I'm having a hard time letting it go.
Any consideration all of letting it go totally? I mean, you're not talking with chronic knee condition. You know, like Bobby Orr used to play on a bad knee, but no one ever said, you know what, he could die. But you really risk an awful lot every time you say, I'm coming back.
Well, that's due to the fact that I had a broken neck in 1996.
Which was amateur wrestling, right?
Yes. I had a lot of severe injuries back then to my neck. Not just a broken neck, but severe disc problems, muscle, nerve problems, everything. So I chanced it back then. I actually was shooting my neck with Novocaine just to get through my matches.
You were actually doing it yourself?
No, I had a doctor. I have a doctor travel with me to the Olympic trials, the U.S. Open, the Olympics, stuff like that. So I was chancing it big time back then. And,
what was the biggest risk you took as an amateur? Because isn't there a story that you had these chronic problems that you had a flare up and you wrestled the next day?
Yeah. I got thrown on my head and I broke my neck immediately at the 3rd round of the U.S. Open, and I had to continue on and wrestle through that tournament, not knowing my neck was broken, not knowing the chances of
paralysis.
Paralysis, yeah, that I would have. So when I got done with that, I went straight to a chiropractor, which was the worst thing I could do, and this guy's cracking my neck up left and right. For 3 days, I'm going to this chiropractor, not knowing that I should have gotten an X-ray.
That's stunning. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, you're a pretty mild-mannered guy, right? You're not a danger to anyone else?
No,
you're sure as hell
not usually.
You're a danger to yourself, though.
Yeah.
Are you ever worried about what you're going to do to yourself? Because you can't control the focus that you have, the singular focus on getting back doing what you do.
You know, that's a good question. I think the only time that I've ever been concerned about my health is this past year. We had a little baby girl, my wife Karen and I. Every time I look at her, that's when I do think about retirement. I do think about being able to play with her and spending time with her as she grows up. And, you know, is that worth paralysis or death? No, not by any means. The Olympic gold medal back then, it was worth death and paralysis. At least I thought so at that point.
So Olympic gold medal, you're coming up to the Olympics, and a doctor, I don't know if he said it or she said it to you, but if they did, if they said you could die by wrestling, you're willing to take that risk back then?
Well, first 7 doctors I went to said, no, I can't wrestle. They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't release me. I finally found a doctor, I should say, quote unquote, stupid enough to allow me to. So yeah, I was definitely risking a lot.
Was your baby born before or after WrestleMania 19 in Seattle?
Right before.
Okay, so let's go back to WrestleMania 19. Don't roll the tape yet, but because I want you to talk me through this. At this point, you know you have the neck injury, right? You know you need the surgery. There's no way that you should be wrestling. I'm thinking medically, no one's going to say, yeah, you know what, you should be in the ring. So tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling as you walk into the ring. Let's roll the tape.
Well, and here I am. The thing I was most nervous about is Brock Lesnar. Here's this guy. He's a rookie. Doesn't know how to let up in the ring. This is his first WrestleMania, so he's nervous as hell. I have a 300-pound man that can bench 700 pounds getting ready to face me at WrestleMania, his first, and he doesn't really know how to work yet. He's basically, he's a loose cannon, and I have the injuries to my neck. Man, that is not a good mixture. So going into WrestleMania, that was the hardest part. If I had Triple H, if I had Chris Benoit, if I had Eddie Guerrero or Edge, I'm fine. I have Brock Lesnar. So that's the first thing that came to my mind is you got to be pretty stupid to get in the ring with that guy. And so in the match, as it was going on more and more, I was finding my hand strength was getting less and less. So I'd have to say by the time I was done, I could not lift my arm over my head. I could barely lift it over my head, but when I got backstage, I couldn't lift my arm over my head, and I started to have I broke out in a sweat, and
I started you kind of went into shock, right?
Yes, I went into shock. Yeah, my teeth started chattering, and I couldn't move, and so the EMTs came. Brock Lesnar's neck's all messed up. It was a disaster. That night was.
Aren't you glad you went into something that's fake?
yeah. Pro wrestling's fake. Oh man, that's you know, I get offended now. It didn't bother me, but when people say it's fake, I look them in the eye and say, look at me. Look what's happened to me since I got here. You know, sure we know the winner's going to be. You know, sure we staged some of the match, but give me a break, man. If you go out there and you do what we do, you're going to find out that it's not so fake. My body's more beat up in this than 20 years of amateur wrestling.
I want to alert the controller. I'd like to see the Brock Lesnar, what he did, because you were telling me that
and he was going to finish me with that move, and he missed. So the only thing I could do is react and try to pin him.
Now, you told me a few moments ago that you're talking to him, right?
Yes.
And he's not hearing you.
No, he wasn't hearing me at all. He was out. He was out, and God forbid, I thought he was paralyzed. Not only unconscious, I thought he was paralyzed. When he missed me, I just first thing that came to my mind was we're gonna have two guys out. I pray to God he's not paralyzed, but our two top superstars are gonna be out. And where's this company gonna go?
You're thinking business at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to. You think business.
No, you don't. you may have to, and maybe that's why you're in that chair and I'm in the easy chair.
When Kurt Angle's out, I'm thinking, damn, man, we got to find another Kurt Angle. I mean, that's the way it is. It's if you have a passion for this business, you're always thinking business.
This is absolutely fascinating, and I love what you said. That you said your arm could have fallen off and you wouldn't have known. But knowing you, if your arm fell off, you would have grabbed it and beaten Lesnar with it. We'll talk to this amazing man. We'll talk about your legacy when OTR returns.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
This man here, you know him as Kurt Angle, but I never knew a lot of the stuff that you just told me, and that's the beauty of a really good interviewee when you hear stuff that leaves you going, oh my gosh. You had the chance to be known, I think, as one of the greatest ever, because not only did you have the athletic ability, I mean, you learned how to wrestle on a Monday. Were you in the ring on a Friday?
Yeah, I actually, the first day I was taught was on a Monday, and 4 days later.
It was Funk Jr., right, that was teaching?
Dory Funk Jr.
Right.
And I caught on so quickly that by Friday they had me doing a wrestling match in front of a live
That's a
crowd.
hell of a learning curve, right?
Yeah, no one's ever done that.
Right.
So it was, for whatever reason they thought I could do it, I have no idea.
But not only did you have that athletic ability, not only did you have the gold medal, not only did you have the mentality, which was teach me, but you're also great with the microphone. I'm going someplace with this ass kissing, believe me. And that is that you had the chance, or still have the chance, to be known as one of the greatest ever. Right. But you have these injuries now. Are you concerned that your legacy will not be what it was? I'm thinking about Bo Jackson, a guy who had this massive potential to be the greatest baseball player or football player ever, and it was lost because of his hip injury. Are you worried that you have missed your chance because of injuries?
Yes, I am, because that's what I set out to do, is be one of the greatest ever. I'm not here to be, obviously everybody wants to be the most popular ever. I'm never going to reach that goal. Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, those guys have made it so high, the goal's so high it's impossible to reach, close to impossible. My goal was to be the best ever among my peers. The only problem with Ric Flair,
that kind of guy, Bret Hart?
Yes, so Ric Flair, Bret Hart, exactly. The only problem is I haven't given enough time. And because of my injuries, I might never be able to be considered among the best ever because I've only given 4.5 years.
Are you worried the company won't push you the way they would have because of your health?
Yes. Obviously, they probably won't, and I don't blame them for that. I think it's kind of like Eddie Guerrero. He came in, and sure, we could have pushed Eddie 2 years ago and made him the superstar back then, but he had that drug problem. Let's see where Eddie goes with his life. And he went in the right direction. 2 years later, the company's on his shoulders because they trust him and they believe in him, and they know he's going to be there tomorrow. With Kurt Angle, I might not.
That's a beautiful segue to a comment that you made almost 3 years ago to the day. When we met you, you were a guy without a history, really, in World Wrestling Federation or now entertainment. Listen to what you had to say on Off the Record about drugs and the business and all that. Roll it.
I can't say I never took a painkiller. You know, I've had surgeries and stuff like that where I had to, but it's very difficult not to. You're talking, even if you don't want to call the WWF a sport, you're talking about the most brutal form of performance, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, sport, there is.
Painkillers are a huge issue in every contact sport, probably more in what you do than anything else. Has your attitude changed about that?
No, not at all. I can't say who's taking them, who's not taking them. I can't say I never took them. I mean, I got neck injuries. I got injuries to my whole body. The thing is, you know, we wrestle 250 days a year. And when you're wrestling that much, you know, no offense, I mean, the NFL, I think that's the most brutal sport there is. But these guys, during their practice days, they don't have to give 100%. They have to give 100% 16 dates a year, including the playoffs. We go out there, we got to bust our rear ends every single night we're out there because that's what we're taught to do, and that's what we have to do. Doing it 250 days a year, how are you not going to have to take a Vicodin here or a Percocet there? And you know what? I'm not putting down the WWE. I'm not putting down our wrestlers because Vince McMahon has a certain agenda for all of us. And the agenda includes you screw up and you get caught up in drugs, you're gone. So he is very strict about it, and I don't blame him for that. But I also don't blame a wrestler if he's hurting pretty badly for doing something to relieve the pain, not abusing it, but doing it on a prescribed basis.
But that's what every sport faces, and I'll take it away from wrestling, which obviously you're sensitive to, but if a football coach says, I don't want anyone taking painkillers, but I want you to play in a certain way, and I don't want any excuses, then really he's part of the problem.
Exactly, yeah, he would be part of the problem. How could you tell somebody not to take pain relievers or painkillers when they're in so much pain that they can't bear it, and the doctor's willing to give it to them on a prescribed basis? That's pretty crazy.
Olympics are coming up, right? You getting the itch?
No, I don't have the itch anymore. The only reason why is because, like you said before, there's a time to retire. And that aspect of my life, that's gone. I can't look back and expect myself to perform.
I'll ask you whether you ever thought about the Olympics again and lots more with Kurt Angle. This is good times for us.
Great.
See, Rock, you have the people's strudel. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
He's one giant strudel. And Shane McMahon, well, Shane, I don't even think you have a strudel.
See, you're good with a mic, and when we were in commercial, after we mentioned that you actually did a little sportscasting in Pittsburgh, you said you were terrible, you couldn't do the job. But you're great with the microphone, right?
That's a whole different story. That's a completely, what you do, I'm not very good at. I'm good on this side, and I'm good playing a part on TV, and I can read an audience, I can do that stuff, but I don't have great instincts on interviewing a person and going in the right direction.
I guess what you're saying is this job is unbelievably tough to do, and very few have the gifts to do it. But you had the gift to do
It'd be like
something.
you getting in the ring and wrestling.
I never said I couldn't do that. You said you couldn't do my job. One of the things that I believe you've done, and you comment, is take some of the stigma away from amateur wrestlers being thought of as boring. Like, you got two different worlds, pro wrestlers, amateur wrestlers. There's no affinity, there's no respect for the other world. Do you think you've helped that?
Yeah. I hope I did. I think I did really by a greater means than anyone's ever done before. When I came into WWE, my goal obviously was for myself, but it was also to give amateur wrestling a name, a face. You know, when Kurt Angle goes out in the ring as a gold medalist from the Olympics in amateur wrestling, that's what Kurt Angle is.
Could Brock have happened without
Kurt? A gold
Kurt?
medalist in the amateur wrestling ranks.
Could Brock have happened without Kurt? Because he came
Brock
from
might
amateur.
have never happened if it wasn't for Kurt. That gave a lot of guys some motivation to cross the line, what they wouldn't do before because of amateur wrestling and their peers. But
you thought the same thing, right? When you were an amateur wrestler, you thought pro wrestling was a joke. You thought there's no chance that is ever going to be me.
I said I wouldn't stoop to that level, not knowing that I'm the one that was stooping to the level by thinking that the WWE was beneath me.
Right.
It was stupid.
Now, have you changed the thinking of your peers back then with amateur wrestlers, where they look and go, you know what, Kurt's there, Kurt's getting beaten up in that, Kurt's, like he's made the crossover. Have you changed their opinions as well?
Yes, most of them, not all of them. Some of them are so old school that they'll never change their opinions. But for the most case, I have, and we're getting a lot more kids trying out from amateur wrestling, crossing over. See, this gives them an opportunity to display their skills from amateur wrestling. It gives them an opportunity to display all the awards they won in amateur wrestling. And Brock Lesnar's a national champion. He gets to say, I'm a national champion in wrestling. And he gets to display his wrestling skills. He also gets to show his sense of humor on TV. It's a great job. It's a great gig. You take your amateur wrestling, bring it over to professional wrestling, and start a whole new career. Why wouldn't you want to do it? It gives amateur wrestling, it gives it exposure that it never gets.
It's also, it's the only way you can really cash in and make some money.
Exactly.
Like, what do you do if you're a wrestler? You win a gold medal. Yeah, and
coach.
Coaching and wrestling isn't known to be, a highly paid profession.
No, not at all.
Did you think about getting back to the Olympics ever?
Oh yeah, but both in 2000 and 2004. Right before 2000, I had knee surgery. I couldn't do it, and then 2004, my neck. And I'm getting too old now. I'm 35 years old. I can't go with those guys. I'm not about to even belittle those guys of thinking that right now in my life I can go in there and go with them. I couldn't. Those guys would kill me. Amateur wrestling's way too competitive. Nationally, internationally, it's one of the toughest sports in the world.
I think I know why you've cut it in both worlds, because you respect both worlds, because you never undervalue the task at hand, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We'll take a break. This email is for you. Don't answer it right now. We'll answer it after the break. Kurt, your character confuses me. I know The Undertaker isn't really The Undertaker. Who is Kurt Angle, an actor or a guy from Pittsburgh? Hold on to that question, Stu. Great question. Back with more OTR in a moment.
Characters on TV. Sure, I go a little bit over the top, but I really am the gold medalist from Pittsburgh. I'm not playing some gimmick character like The Undertaker or some badass guy from the streets of Greenwich like Triple H. You pretty much get what you see with Kurt Angle. Of course, we've done the nerdy. There's always a twist to it. I've done the nerdy approach, the tough guy approach, but we pretty much gone with the real Kurt Angle. That's what we wanted to in the first place. Kurt Angle from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's a gold medalist in the Olympics. A lot of fans ask me, "Did you really win a gold medal, or is that just your gimmick?" No, everything about me has
That's
been
the
real.
problem in what you do, and that so much of it is make-believe, right?
Right,
That
right.
people don't believe the real stuff.
Exactly.
And that's why when Brock Lesnar did what he did and he was unconscious, people believe that's a work.
Yeah, they thought that
And
was
when
part of
JR's
the
going,
show.
oh my God, and there was a shot of you falling onto a table, going through the table, and he's screaming, oh my God. And I'm
Right,
thinking,
right.
really, oh my God. But because
Right.
everything is fake in what you do from the standpoint that you can't define, it's scripted, sorry, not fake. You don't know what's real and what's not. How much have you
Exactly.
changed? You did the show 3 years ago. How's Kurt Angle changed?
Well, I'm bald. You know, I think I've matured as far as the way I look out at the business, the way I look at my family. When I was here 3 years ago, I think I was more wrapped up in the business. I was more kind of like starstruck about the WWE and being this superstar, and one of the
Improving
top
yourself,
stars.
right?
Yeah. Now I'm just kind of like, man, I'd rather be home with my wife and kid right now. I think I'm a much more peaceful time in my life, and I enjoy sitting back and not making myself kind of the center of attention.
Right. I got to ask you about SmackDown because it's one of the things you're
sure.
talking about. Tell me, SmackDown in Toronto, Air Canada Centre, right?
June 1st, man. And the great thing about this one is that, you know, everybody's coming back. You know, The Undertaker will be back. Rey Mysterio's coming back from injury. Eddie Guerrero's going to be there. John Cena, I'm going to be there. Just all these superstars are coming back that this is the first time in, I bet you, a year that everybody's going to kind of mold together and be here for one event, and that's going to be right here.
Hard not to say you got to be there. You don't have to be there for that if you're a wrestling fan. Kurt, thanks for doing the show.
Oh, hey, invite me next week, tomorrow, whenever. I love it here.
You know what? One of the beautiful things about this show is you meet the real guy.